We're recording. All right. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3STACK in this thing, baby. Sorry it took so long. It was just a really busy day. Like I told you, if you caught my video from this morning, we were doing a lot. My girl's holding the camera for me right now. But I just wanted to. It sucks that I'm to this point where I'm kind of exhausted because I wanted to bring more energy and enthusiasm for this video, but life don't always work out that way, bro. And I have to be a man of my word. But I did tell you guys that I was going to showcase Galaxy Eyes with Afterglow. And this is my current list. I still have a lot more experimentation with me when it comes to deck building. Nothing's ever set in stone because I feel like every deck can get better no matter how broken it looks. Even if you have like the best ways to new support and everything's on point, you know, and all your cards are good and they're new and they're at 3, I still feel like there's always room for improvement because there's just like nothing, you can't even get anything to be perfect in the first place. So I try to get my decks to as close as perfect as possible. And then every format things change too. So this is my list. Like I said in the video, I did get my prismatic afterglows. So we're showcasing dang near full power Galaxy Eyes, basically. Galaxy Photon. This deck has a huge part in my heart. It's in my top 5 favorite decks of all time. It's just really, really explosive, really fun, very versatile. It doesn't really care much about dice rolls in a lot of matchups. It just has a ton of starters, and its starters are so flexible. They can be extenders, they can be recovery plays. Like Photon Sanctuary is a perfect example. It's like a starter, it's an extender, it's a recovery play. This deck's just a really, really good double-edged sword. It's got a sort of well above mid-range combo pace. It's a little bit more combo-centric, my build specifically, but this deck can be played mid-range, it can be played control, it can be played even stunish. You know, there's a lot of ways to play it. But anyways, let's get into my list, you guys. So we're starting off with 3 copies of Afterglow. Oh yeah, I did forget to tell you guys my Patreon and my PayPal the link is in the description box below of every video. I would greatly appreciate it if any of you guys would donate just $1, 50 cents, 25 cents, whatever's in your budget. Anything helps because I'm really trying to make this channel as big as possible. And I've tried on my own for 4 years, and you guys clearly see where that got me. So now I'm going to start asking for help. And if you don't want to help, that's fine. But I feel like at this point, you know, somebody out there is going to help, and people have. So support your boy, you know, help me. But anyways, 3 Afterglows. The cards... This card's very, 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 very good. I mean, like, dude, this card's nuts. So if you control Galaxy Eyes, you can special summon it. If it's detached as an XYZ material, I believe just an activate any effect, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see. Let's read it together. Because it's a fairly new card. I don't really know everything by heart because it's new for me too. If you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, you can special this card from your hand in defense position. If this card's detached from an XYZ monster to activate that monster's effect, any XYZ by the way, which is pretty pseudo-generic, take 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand or deck, special it or attach it to an XYZ monster you control as a material. If this effect was activated during the battle phase, not yours, just the battle phase, which is insane because you can do this on your opponent's battle phase, double the attack of all number XYZ monsters you control. You can only use each effect of Afterglow once per turn. That is a lot of good stuff and nothing bad in one card. So I think this card's ridiculously good. He kind of, sort of, does more than Galaxy Eyes, but because Galaxy Eyes' name is so important, and when I say his name is important, I mean like you saw that this effect really only works with him, right? So like if you don't play him, you can't really even get the max advantage out of Afterglow. So it goes to show like this card by itself isn't going to really generate advantage, but it's just like playing Blue Eyes without Blue Eyes or playing Dark Magician without Dark Magician. But he's a little bit better in retrospect because he's not a vanilla. He is a standalone monster. He practically can't be destroyed by battle due to his own ability, his special ability, and he's very easy to get out. And you know, he's a 3K beat stick. He's a level 8. He's a free extender. He can help you to push other cool things that people fail to realize. Some people think like this deck just auto loses to Avermax. You can actually tribute summon for this and just swing into the Avermax, or just play better extra deck cards. So people think the IP Masquerade Indestructible Avermax, this deck just can't out it. Like this is a big guy, right? He's at 3K. If you just tribute summon for him, is he a special summon monster? No. Okay. So anyways, 3 copies of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, definitely the heart and soul of the deck. As long as I play this deck, I've never played any less than 3. I've seen lists that play 2. It's so weird. Like, you miss out on a lot of good stuff, and normally you want 1 in grave, 1 in deck, and then 1 rotating between your hand and your field, kind of circulating. So it's just very important to max out on this card, and it's very important to see it. In fact, you can't really play this deck without seeing this card some way, some shape, or form, and the deck's super consistent in turboing this card out. A lot of effects resolve around him. He's, like I said, he's the bread and butter. But I feel that in terms of just like standalone advantage and how far that between these two, how far you can get, I think Afterglow can get you there. but Galaxy Eyes by himself cannot. But Afterglow kind of just paired with any random card can get you there. Because even Photon Sanctuary can make Soul Flare, which makes this card live, so it's pretty good. Because it's still an extender, it's a starter, it's an extender, and it's a recovery play. So that's why I said about Galaxy Eyes cards, like, they're very powerful. And so are the Photon cards. They're very versatile. You know, you can use them in many different ways. You don't have to... The only thing I would say is like cards like Photon Thrasher can only be starters because you have to control the monsters. But other cards like Soldier and etc., they're just versatile for whatever situation you need them for. So continuing with the deck profile, we play 3 copies of Soldier. How's it looking, babe? Alright, so 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. People always play this card outside of its own archetype, but it's best played in its own deck. And I really wish that it was not generic at all. I wish it just said discard 1 Galaxy or Photon monster, because this card should have never ever been played anywhere except its own deck. Because it got so much hype and its price jumped up at one point for being played in like Cyber Dragons and APCs, but nobody was ever really playing this card in its own archetype, and the people that were not topping events, so nobody really knew that this card like had its own deck, which is so funny because like you'll see like Dinos playing True Kings and you'll be like, True King Dinos is a deck. It's like, no, True Kings are like an actual archetype outside of Dinos. You know, it's kind of that thing. It's pretty funny. 3 copies of Wizard. You guys think I'm crazy for playing 3. I never go down on these. As far as ratios go and as far as deck building goes, you know, I'm just not going to do what people tell me. And I'm always going to stick with my heart, my gut feeling, and what I've learned off my research and my strenuous playtesting. And sometimes I just do crazy stuff and it works and I have success with it. And I've had strong success with 3 Wizard. I've topped numerous times with this deck. So I like it. It's fun to pilot. It can give your opponent a run for their money, and also it gives you a lot of options. When you're playing this deck, you're not going to be just making the same Sunlight Wolf, set, trap, loop it over and over and over. That can get really boring. This deck can make a ton of different boards based on what extra deck cards you play and based on how you play your cards and what order and etc. But these are the Galaxy archetype specific searchers. This searches any Galaxy card. It can make itself level 8. Yeah, I saw that too. And then this card can search any Galaxy monster. Yeah, babe, we'll get it. But yeah, you got your dragons, you got your searchers. And continuing with the Galaxy monsters, I also play 3 copies of Brave. I know people also think I'm crazy, but if a Blue Eyes player can play 3 alternative and get away with it, I'm pretty sure I can play 3 of my Galaxy alternative. Because that's how I see this card. This is an alternative for the deck. So I just feel like Galaxy Eyes is superior to Blue Eyes in every way, shape, or form. By the way, shout outs to Custom Field Center. This is another advertisement. It's another commercial. Custom Field Centers, where you can get all of your tokens and proxy cards made. Ooh. Look at that. And that's also Kite and like Galaxy Eyes, Photon Dragon like fused in one being. But anyways, back to the profile. So yeah, Brave. Another cool interaction with this card that does come up in testing because shit also very popular. If you open Dragon Shrine plus this in a valid target, you can always dump Big Daddy or Afterglow and just reveal special. Use him to target the Galaxy Eyes. He becomes 3k. So even though you get that one special summon, you just attack over the window. You know, if they have another one, they have another one. But this card does give you a chance to outwindow in a very cool way because you kind of get what you need on the field, which is a level 8, and you get to get rid of windows. So then main phase 2, you can just make a rank 8 or whatever you do, you know, based off the composition of your starting hand. So I like Brave a lot, and I would never cut it. And that's one thing, you know. People will always tell me, you know, they'll give me insight and stuff, their own insight, their own personal opinion on deck profiles and stuff, but they'll tell me what ratios I need to play. I'm never going to tell you guys what ratios you need to play. I'm just going to recommend things and tell you to still try it out on your own because that's how I get to my ratios, from testing on my own. And not just taking people's word for stuff. But Brave is very insane. It's very versatile. He's a level 4 extender. He's a starter. He can make Ice Sold. You know, he's a rank 8 turbo card. You can change his level too. That's what makes him even better than alternative. And he can be bigger than alternative because he can actually come out as 4,000 if you target a 4,000 monster because he gains the attack of any Galaxy in your grave, which is nuts. Finishing up with the Galaxy monsters because this is Galaxy Photon. We play 2 copies of Knight. Knight, I want to say, is a better normal summon than Wizard in certain circumstances, but with the new support, because I do have Prismatics on the new support that we're getting very soon, including Galaxy Rebirth, Wizard is starting to become more and more and more and more so a better normal summon than Knight. Because this card is actually a full 1-card combo. It's like a full 1-card rank 8. Just because of this new card, when we get into it, it's pretty nut. It's like a double Reborn. You like Reborn a Galaxy monster and like it's crazy. You could like XYZ, it's pretty nut, but yeah, Galaxy Wizard is practically like a 1.5 card combo because Galaxy Rebirth, just because it exists. So yeah, continuing, we all know what Knights does. If you haven't played Galaxy Eyes or the Photon archetype, because these are separate archetypes, by the way. Galaxies can be played by themselves. It's gonna be weird, but you can do it. And Photons can be played by themselves, but the decks were created as like a sub yin and yang archetype. They're a culmination of one archetype, but it's like split into two different categories. You've got Galaxy and Photon, and each archetype has its own extenders, its own searchers, its own starters, and its own recovery and follow-up plays. Just like Galaxy Wizard and Soldier, search your Galaxy cards. And I'm going to continue. We'll get to the Photons. The Photons do the same exact thing, but this card's only purpose is to reborn Galaxy Eyes, specifically Galaxy Eyes. So if you don't have access to Galaxy Eyes in your graveyard, this is a dead draw, which is why you want to play 2, because this deck is extremely, extremely consistent. You'd be surprised how consistent this deck is. It normally gets to everything it needs, even with weird bad hands. And I love that about this deck, that you can brick and still get there. That's something that a lot of decks just can't do. And I know it sounds crazy, but I'm speaking from experience. And then 1 copy of Cleric. A lot of people don't play this. I recommend you don't cut it, because you lose value in your grind game, and not every deck they're not gonna be able to OTK every deck in 1 turn. Some decks just force the game prolonged. Like Altergeist will stretch the game out a couple more turns than you didn't want to, because they're gonna negate some attack, bounce some cards, and other decks like that can just defend themselves very well. Salamangreats do a good job at defending themselves. You might not be able to. They might not stop you completely, but they can normally get you to a point where you just can't kill them in 1 turn. And then you start to run low on resources, and that's why I don't like building a Glass Cannon Galaxy Eyes deck. I like my deck to be resilient and to be able to grind when I need it to be. So this is not a Glass Cannon Galaxy Eyes deck at all. It's Galaxy Photons played just above mid-range. It's a little bit heavier combo, but at any given time, I could just play this deck as mid-range as I want to be, like Salamangreats. But anyways, Cleric just lets you shuffle any 5 Photon or Galaxy cards, which includes your spells and traps, from your graveyard to your deck. You draw 2, and it's not main deck, so you recycle your extra deck cards too. So this card can recycle a whole Harbinger Titanic Galaxy, just an FYI, and other of your Galaxy Eyes XYZ. So the card's just really phenomenal for that. So that's the Galaxy stuff. So remember, you got your searchers, your searchers, starters, extenders, all that. This is like a strong follow-up and recovery play. So for the Photons, the card that gets, the most hyped up card, the most overpriced card in this deck is definitely going to be Orbital. For good reason. I mean, the card is standalone by itself. You practically, you're practically always going to be able to resolve it. Because if you draw a hand that didn't have a Galaxy or Photon monster in it, that just is very strange to me. That's never happened. So anytime you open a Galaxy or Photon monster in your hand, this card's live, and it doesn't eat your normal summon, and it doesn't require a discard. So while Galaxy Soldier can be better than Wizard because you don't have to normal summon, Orbital is better than Wizard and Galaxy Soldier for the simple fact that not only can it search them anyways, but it doesn't require a normal summon or a discard. And when you equip it, it becomes a spell. So when you sack it off for its spell effect, it can be called by the grave and still resolve because they're trying to call by the grave, right? But it's actually a spell. It's a really weird ruling that I personally learned. I'm not making it up. I was really taught this ruling that Orbital, equipped to a Galaxy or Photon monster, can sack itself off from the field to the grave as an equipped spell, equipped to that monster, and they can call by the grave and it'll still resolve to search. It's crazy. It's like, you guys just have to look into it. But this card's just so good because of how versatile it is, and for the simple fact that it searches any one of your searchers. And if you already have what you need, then I recommend just using this card to pump up Blast so that your entire board is indestructible. Because if Blast is over 2k, nothing can be touched really. They have to like Ding Girsu something at that point, which you can negate that. So this card's really strong, and the monster equipped cannot be destroyed by battle, and that's just another perk. So it gains 500, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, on top of him already being, your standalone searcher. So he's really just really strong. The card's broken. And that's one of the Photon searchers. Remember, they have starters, extenders, all that, just like the Galaxy cards. And you guys are going to think I'm crazy also, but I've been rocking 3 lizards. I love lizards. Shoutouts to Maddie because he sent me my 3rd lizard. This card's really important for a lot of my combos. Like I said, I'm playing a tempo that's a tad above mid-range. So this deck can go heavy combo, sort of like Pendulums and Danger Thunder, but it doesn't have to if you don't want to. You can totally just play a little bit conservative, save some cards in your hand, and just make a board of 2 to 3 interruptions and pass. But sometimes you got to go hard or go home, and I want my deck to be able to do that at any given time. So I built it to be, above mid-range, but still able to downgrade and decrease the tempo when necessary. Because some decks like Altergeist, you don't want to give or commit too much because they have a card that can take it all away from you. Like, there's some cards that are just 1 for 5s. Like, there can only be 1 Torrential, Strike, all that stuff. Like, they can basically, instead of 1 for 1 in you, they could use like a 1 to get multiple cards. And I don't like to commit too much. So sometimes your deck has to be able to play mid-range, but also you want your deck to be able to play heavier too. So I like that. And what Lizard does is he searches any level 4 or lower Photon monster from your deck to your hand. So Again, your searchers can search for each other, which is a fun thing, but Drill's a card, so you kind of want to be careful with that. And the way I am, I'm very ballsy with my decks. I don't like really playing hand traps, and the way I feel is like if somebody has a Drill, that's going to be the only way that they're going to stop me. So I would much rather side deck the call by for the matchup. But it's up to you guys if you want to main the call by. But this deck does search heavy, so that's one of its weaknesses. I'll just let that be known, even though that's common sense and somebody's going to comment saying they already knew. But anyways, 3 copies of Lizard. And continuing, we also play 3 copies of Photon Vanisher. This card is very good. In fact, it's one of my favorites because I really love opening into Blast. A lot of my combos start off with Blast because if you start, especially in Master Rule 5 or whatever you want to call it, Revised Master Rule 4, when you're starting your combos off with Blast, everything that hits your board cannot be Impermed, Veilered, or Ghost Ogred, and I appreciate that very much. Or Psyframe Gear Gamut. They can Gamut, but it won't leave the field. You'll just negate, destroy, and it stays. So they'll negate the activation of like Galaxy Knight. I mean, not Galaxy Knight, but they'll negate the activation of like, you know, let's say one of my XYZs like Photon Lord, but like they can't destroy it, or like something like that. Like anything that has more than 2,000 attack, they can negate it, but it just won't leave the field. So it's just very important to try to get access to this card as quickly as possible, especially when you're going second against heavy back row decks, because now if they don't stop this, it's safer because your cards can't be like cracked down or impermed or lost winded or, you know, compulsory evacuation device, and they can't activate that trap get out either. So it's just really nice to try to get into your rank 4. And to pair with that, I'm also playing 3 Thrashers. I'm also playing a 60 card Photon Galaxy list, so it's just really important to kind of see your starters for both archetypes. The Photon cards are equally as important as the Galaxy cards, so you never want to see a hand with all Photons, and you never want to see a hand with all Galaxy cards. You want to see Photon Galaxies. And then continuing, I also play 2 Advancers. When the Ignoble Knight cards come out and the Union Carrier comes out, I'm going to start toying with more Isolde combos because the Warriors in this deck allow you to turbo into a Soul pretty easily, and because she's a light, you can still follow up by using her and another light to make Soul Flare, which gives you more advantage, and that just could be a +2 or 3 depending on the situation before you even use Isolde's effect as special from your deck. So it's really nice. But that's it for all the Photon monsters as well. This last amount of monsters is actually a supplemental engine that assists the archetype, and it's like bread and butter. It's, well, I would say peanut butter and jelly. It's like these cards are just meant to be played in this deck. It's 3 Nebulas and 1 Galactic Spiral Dragon. These cards are insane. They're extenders, they're recovery cards, they're starters. They're just everything. And they work with dragons, and this deck is pretty heavy on dragons, warriors, and spellcasters, which are, I think, the 3 most predominant types of monsters from back in the day. So that's it for the monsters. I'll definitely be getting into these spells and then the traps. And Afterglow is insane, you guys. Like, this card's just really, really, really good. With this card coming out, one thing that you just have to play as a staple in your extra deck for Afterglow combos, you have to play a rank 8 that can detach its material as soon as possible. Like, I'm talking about this turn it's summoned, and needs to be able to activate its detach effect. So one of the easiest ones to use is Felgrand, because you could just target anything on your field and trigger the Afterglow. So I recommend you just,
It's a nice card.
Oh, this?
The color on it, yeah.
You like the color?
Like, if you see it on your phone, it's different from...
Oh, that's tight. I like that, babe.
Yeah.
But this is definitely staple. These cards just work really well together. He's one of the easiest. He's not the only rank 8 who can detach the turn he's summoned, but definitely in the terms of outside of that interaction, just as a standalone card, he's also just really good, period, without just being a way to trigger Afterglow. So that's why I feel he's just the best one to be paired with Afterglow, because outside of situations where you need a card to trigger Afterglow, this card can still assist you in just progressing your game state and getting some more negates on the board too. And it protects you as well, which is really nice. So Afterglow is nice, you guys. Continuing, this card's probably the best trap in the game, honestly. As far as negates go, I think this is probably one of the best negate counter traps in the game. If it's not the best, it's definitely like top 3 or 2, because I just really can't find another card like this. I've researched a lot. Like, that's how I figure out a lot of my spice, you guys. I literally just go to the Yu-Gi-Oh card database, and I'll type something like trap cards. And then I know some people just don't have the time or feel like they don't want to put the energy into looking, but I feel like that would help you guys if you just took the time to do your research, because that's how you find some crazy stuff. Well, most of you guys would just make me do the work and then just net deck it from me, and that's fine too. I don't mind doing the work, but sometimes it's nice for you to do the work yourself so that you can learn more. But anyways, 3 Transmigrations, the card's insane. It can negate entire chain links, and that I feel breaks the rules, because chain blocking is meant to prevent cards from being negated. And the fact that you can play against a Shaddoll player and they can activate Shaddoll Fusion, go Construct Chainlink 1, Aerial Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3 this, Chainlink 4 that, and you're just like, Chainlink 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all being negated. That's insane. Because normally you can only respond to the highest chain, but this card negates entire chain links. Even if it goes up to 20, this card will negate Chainlink 21 and 19 and there below. Every card that your opponent had in the chain is being negated, but your cards resolve, which is insane. So when you're chain battling with your opponent and you're like, Photon Lord, negate, and they're like, chain this to negate, and you're like, nah, chain infinity to negate, and they're like, oop, I had the Forbidden Chalice or whatever, and you're like, I'm nice too, I have the counter trap. You can only win undeservedly with this card. So that's the only trap I play in the deck. I was playing Change, but it changed. So anyways, we got 3 copies of Sanctuary. When Union Carrier comes out, this card's nuts. It's already a 1-card combo itself, but when Union Carrier comes out, this card is going to be even more nuts because you could just activate this, get Union Carrier, equip Orbital from your deck to your field, from your deck to him, and just pop it off, search any Photon or Galaxy monster. And Sanctuary already is a 1-card Soul Flare. It's already so much value. And in your mid to late game, I've always explained this in every Galaxy or Photon profile I've ever done on my channel, but I'll explain it again. This card, when your board gets broken, is the best card to have in your hand. So whenever I make Lord, I don't care what the situation is. I'm using him to get this, even if my board has 4 negates, because I like to play as if the worst case scenario will happen and my opponent will draw the Dark Ruler, the Lightning Storm, and all that. And that's where you're going to need your follow-up. This is one of the best follow-ups, because what happens is when you make your standard board with this, this, and other cards, and your board gets broken, this is going to get these back. You're going to go activate Sanctuary, 2 tokens, summon another Soul Flare, target Galaxy Knight Engrave, add it, normal it, special Galaxy Eyes, boom. 1 Link 2 and 1 Rank 8 off of 1 card. There's a lot of decks, even meta decks, that can't do that. Off of just 1 card, self-contained, as a recovery play. They can do that for their first combo, but a lot of decks can't do that after their board gets broken. That's what you guys need to pay attention to. Because sure, Pendulums can do crazy stuff, and other decks can do crazy stuff, but how many decks can do that when their board gets completely wiped, and they can bring the same board back off of 1 card that you also get to search off of the card? Like this is insane. So you just get so much value for this card. It's definitely an absolute 3-up. There are some hands where you just regret activating it because you want to make cards like Dweller at times, but you weigh the pros and cons, and based on the composition of your hand, if this isn't necessary, you just hold it and you make your Dweller, you make your dark, XYZs and stuff, and then use this when you can afford to go under the restriction of only summoning lights. But continuing, we also played 3 copies of Expedition. This card is absolutely mandatory. I am playing 60, but even if I was playing 40, I'd still play 3 of this because I'm that crazy. I think this card is very valuable. And anytime you open a card like Galaxy Knight or Soldier, and those cards get ashed or impermed, you can always activate this as a follow-up. It happens all the time. Galaxy Soldier, discard for cost, special, ash. Alright, activate Expedition. So it's just really nice that this deck can play through so many hand traps because cards like that exist. You really want to max out on them. And if you can afford to not burn your search on it, you'd rather just hard draw it for turn, honestly, and search it whenever you need it. And I played 2 Trance because I feel like it's absolutely correct. Just hard drawing this card allows you to play through more hand traps. You cannot summon Felgrand because this only allows you to summon Photon and Galaxy monsters. But I will say, there's nothing wrong with making boards with only Galaxy and Photon monsters, because you can still summon Titanic Galaxy under this restriction. You can still summon Lord. You can still summon Soul Flare. You can still make boards. You can even summon Blast. So Trance doesn't really take away much except that you can't summon like Felgrand, and you can't go like Nova Infinity or Dweller. But most of the time when you're activating this, it was like you weren't going to be able to summon those cards anyways. So it just really helps. It's a 1-card combo essentially. Just like Galaxy Wizard is. That's why I feel like Galaxy Wizard is a 1-card combo, because he also searches your 1-card combo. So it's really nice to play multiples of this. My other list that I got second place with played 3, because it's really important. Another Prismatic. This is one of the newer cards, Galaxy Rebirth. You guys are definitely going to need explanations for this. This card is mandatory in this deck. It's a quick play. So you target 1 Galaxy monster in your grave, special summon it, and equip it with this card. The monster's attack is halved, and during your end phase, the equipped monster, if the equipped monster did not inflict battle damage to your opponent, destroy it. So basically, you activate it, target a Galaxy monster in your grave, reborn it, and this becomes equipped to it. And then, if that monster doesn't inflict battle damage to your opponent, the end of that turn, if it doesn't, by the end of that turn, then it gets destroyed. That's part of the first. So continuing, if the equipped monster is used as an XYZ material for an XYZ summon, you can treat this card, this spell card that's equipped to that monster, as the other appropriate material matching its level. That's why I said Wizard's a 1-card combo, because if you notice, it never said special a Galaxy monster from your grave. Its effects are negated, right? So what you do is, you normal Galaxy Wizard, tribute him off, search for your Rebirth. You can activate Rebirth and even summon Wizard to search again if you want to. But normally, you activate Rebirth, summon Wizard, and you either make him level 8 or just keep him as a level 4. And then immediately use this equip spell and the Galaxy Wizard that searched him 1-card combo as a rank 8 or rank 4. This card is the literal stones, you guys. I wish I could be more excited, but I'm kind of drained. This card's very good, you guys. Like, seriously, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs saying, play this card, play this card, play this card. It's insane. This deck is so good. It really is. It's not like a hype thing. This deck has a lot good going for it. And it does have plot armor. It is like, you know, protagonist deck. So it's going to continue to get support. That's the other beauty. Because I thought this deck was done getting support a while ago. But this card is standalone. Just all the Galaxy spells are gas, you guys. Photon Sanctuary is like the best Photon spell. And I think Photon Change is like the best Photon trap. But as far as spells and traps go for this archetype, I think Galaxy definitely takes the W for how good they are. And I also play 00. Now, with Isolde coming back into the deck when I get Renaud, that Noble Knight, it's a level 1. It's really good for this deck. This is mandatory because you don't ever want to draw it and not be able to resolve Isolde. And it's a level 1, so you only need 1 equip to resolve it. So I'm playing 2 now, not only because this card's good, it's just in its own deck, but I'm just preparing and testing because I've been kind of proxying stuff that I need just to get ready. But 2, I just feel is nice. Now, these are hard ones per turn, so I can understand why some people wouldn't want to play them at multiples, but they're also really important in their own archetype, and you can't search all of these in one turn. You can't search this, and this. Sometimes you just need to hard draw some of them and search the rest. So I like the ratios. I really do. Galaxy Zero is very nice. You just reborn a Photon Lord and then stack like, you know, a full armor. Or you could even stack a Cypher Blade, for example. And then for generic stuff, we play 3 trade-ins. I'm not really digging Desires, even though this is 60. I'm still not digging Desires because it's screwed me over a few times. In my second place list, I was playing more like I really didn't care too much. I was playing more about, I cared about my turn 1 board and I didn't care about anything for the rest of the duel. But now that I'm playing a little bit more mid-range and I'm trying to make sure I always have follow-ups, I don't ever want to burn out of my engine. So I cut Desires for that reason. But if my mindset changes with this deck again and I get more ballsy, Desires is going to come back in here. And I play 2 copies of Shrine. It's pseudo-generic, but it's really good in this deck. It pairs with a lot of good cards. It makes your bad hands playable. It makes good hands insane. It's just bread and butter. And then instead of playing 3, you just play the Foolish as a flex. It's like a flex spot. It does what Shrine does, but even more, of course, because you can even just dump, you know, anything to Reborn. Like, you can use this to dump Galaxy Wizard and just rebirth the Wizard and, you know, make plays that way. And I still play Reborn, and then this card's really nice. I play Rhoda. So I like the spells. This deck's just pure gas, you guys. I'm definitely going to do, like, maybe 1 or 2 combos. Maybe just, like, 1. I don't know. Maybe just 1. Because I definitely do want to just relax after this. But 3 Soul Flares. I was playing 2 in Isolde, but I was just not getting what I wanted out of her because I couldn't keep proxying the Renaud. I was just like, okay, I'll tell you what, 3 stacks. We're just going to put the Renaud back in the deck. I mean, we're going to put the Isolde in the deck when the Renaud comes out. So we just went back to 3 Soul Flares. This could even be 2 and a land. This could be a land. This could be a land. This could be a IP. This could be Avermax. It could be anything, but I personally just really maxed out on this card. And Isolde was almost just as good as it. That's why she took the spot. But I need specifically Link 2s that can get me there. Nothing else. Not Link 4s, not Link 3s, and not a Link 2 vanilla. Link 2s that can get me there. And Soul Flare is like heaven sent. This is how you can play through Ash, Imperm, Ghost Spell. Remember, I told you guys this story. Like, I played through 4 hand traps with this deck and just ended on 2 rank 8s and a Soul Flare. That's insane, you guys. And then we play 2 Lords. I'm trying to find the other one. Only reason why I play 2 is because a lot of times in testing, that does come up, that interaction I was explaining where your board gets broken and you remake the same one with Sanctuary. But if you only play 1 Lord and you have the Sanctuary, you can use Soul Flare to get Galaxy Knight back, but he won't be able to make another Lord. You have to make something else. But Lord is the best rank 8 in this deck because not only is he a negator, not only can he not be destroyed by card effects, not only can he just, you know, not even need materials, but he can add any Galaxy or Photon card from your deck to your hand and either attach it to him as a material or just keep it during your opponent's turn. So he also allows you to get your follow-up. So this deck can actually set itself up for your next turn. So that's why he's really important. I would never play 3, but I think 2 is absolutely perfect. Now, concerning more rank 8s that you want to summon going first, I play Hope Harbinger and also Felgrand. Now, the dark rank 8 that prevents you from summoning from the grave, I know its name, it's not crossing my mind right now. Sky Prison, there we go. I side deck that for when I play against graveyard heavy decks that summon a lot from the grave. Like Salamangreats is a perfect example. But it's more like a side deck card, and it also restricts with Sanctuary. So I kind of just wanted everything to be as universal or generically applicable as possible. These cards are more or less for going second. This deck's good at making boards, but it's also incredible at breaking boards. Surprisingly, this deck can go second and just blow you out the water. And I'm talking about this deck doesn't even summon Boar Sword or, anything cheesy. It kind of just summons a couple rank 8s and just OTKs you really fast. We have Blast, which is one of the best, absolutely one of the best rank 4 XYZs that ever was printed in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This card is just crazy because it's so generic. It works for any deck, but I really wish it wasn't generic at all because I don't like when Konami does that, because this card could potentially get hit in the future if it was played in some crazy FTK deck where it protected the whole FTK, because this card provides like protection from every hand trap except like Ash Blossom and Ghost Bell. Like, it's really good. And then these are all like Galaxy and Photon stuff. Well, Felgrand doesn't really count, but this can still be summoned out of trance. And the other stuff that I was playing is the one Dweller that's not my extra deck right now. I'm sharing it. And then Nova and Infinity. I play like very few cards in my extra deck that are not archetype specific, because Trance is a card I like to play at multiples, and also in addition to that, I really just like these cards. So I'm gonna show you guys a quick combo. This deck has like some decent 2-card combos, like Soldier plus Galaxy Eyes, but I'm gonna show you guys like a 3-card combo. I'll show you guys just a quick standard one before I end the video. Or matter of fact, I could show you guys my Orbital Lizard combo, but that's probably, you guys would have to check that out on my channel. So I'm gonna say, if you open the Soldier, Galaxy Eyes, let's create this is your standard board pretty much. So if you open like stuff like these, this is gonna be a very standard board. So let's say you open these cards, right? This is pretty gas, and you're also gonna play through a ton of hand traps, more than 2. They're gonna need 3 to 4 to stop you completely and leave you with just a mediocre board. But if they have only 2 hand traps, you will always end on 2 interruptions. So you go Soldier, discard Galaxy Eyes, special him, and you're gonna use his effect to search out the Galaxy Knight. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna activate Expedition. You're gonna special another Soldier, wherever my homie is. Oh yeah, there my boy goes. So you're gonna special another Soldier. You're gonna activate Sanctuary whenever you're ready to do it, because I'm just gonna speed through it because I'm getting ready to dip. Link into the Soul Flare. Don't activate his effect because you need that engrave. Overlay these. Nova, Infinity, Nova Knight. Target this engrave, special it. And this is the standard board. That card combination of cards I showed you is not the only way to make this board. When I say this is the standard board, I'm saying this is the Sunlight Wolf for Salamangreats. This is the Winda for Shaddolls. This is the Electromite for Pendulums. This is the, you get my drift. This is